Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Love to Live Healthy Show. I'm Josephine Fitzpatrick, author of Cheat Day Rules. I'm a weight loss nutrition specialist for over 15 years, and I work with thousands of clients all over the world. I own Innovation Healthy Market at 8025 Jericho Turnpike, Woodbury, New York, where for the last 12 years, we sell hundreds of prepared meals and snacks. We are open to the public 7 days a week. You do not have to be a client to shop in our store. We have customers from all over Long Island visit our store every day, and we also ship tri-state. We also offer free Long Island delivery every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we hand deliver to New York City every Tuesday. We are also on Uber Eats 7 days a week. So if you're looking to lose weight or just eat healthy, come in and visit our store. Everything is made fresh daily, and we carry everything from high protein, low carb, gluten-free, sugar-free, plant-based, vegan, keto, and our famous detox. Someone is always available to help you at the store. They will hold your hand to help you get what you want, what you need, so please don't hesitate to ask when you walk in. For more information on our store, delivery, shopping, and weight loss, visit our website, innovationhealthymarket.com, or check our Instagram at Innovation Weight Loss. Today I'm here with my partner, Jake Fitzpatrick. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
And today's topic is spring goals. The clock sprung forward today. So that's fun. And, you know, I think spring's a great time for, like, make it your new January, you know, reflect on what you didn't accomplish since January and what would you like to accomplish?
Yeah, well, you can either reflect on what you didn't accomplish, or if you have been accomplishing your goals, then you can just keep buckling down on them.
Yeah,
I
love
even
that.
More push forward. You know, like if you've been doing, you know, say the regular program and you've been detoxing every week, maybe change things up and like spruce it up a little bit, because you are only 2 months really in.
Right.
So, you know, keep challenging yourself. Never become stagnant with what you're actually doing. If you haven't achieved those goals yet, or you even haven't set out to achieve them yet, that's one thing. But if you are on a path right now, never really become comfortable with it. Keep pushing yourself even more.
Great advice.
Yeah.
So smart. You know, I always think like March, like I could never figure out, I understand January. January is like, okay, it's after all the holidays and everyone feels so bloated, so they're so excited. But mentally, March is like, you know, it's, you have spring, you have everything's blooming, you can go outside, longer days. It's just such a great time to really think about, like you said, even if you have your goals from January, whether you did them or not, like, what do you want to accomplish from this point on? It's just such a great time to really get outside. Like I would say, if your goal is to, you know, I shouldn't say if your goal is, if you want a goal, make it something outdoors.
Yeah.
If that's not something you normally do and you go in a gym all year, and that's great. I'm not telling you to not go to the gym. I think the gym's great.
Yeah.
But maybe once a week, do a hike.
Yeah.
You know, or do a long walk. Do something like that. It makes such a big difference.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a weird middle period right now, because everyone, like you said, it's after the holidays. It's cold. We did the episode prior about how, you know, how to stay active, how to stay motivated during the cold months. But now we're in like a weird gray area, because it's not super hot out to where people want to do like summertime things, but it's nice enough to where people still feel like, okay, I'm wearing a lot of layer of clothing. I'm not ready to yet unshell myself, you know?
Right, exactly.
But then also, too, the problem
good point.
that I found with this that can arise, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the days getting longer, the time's changing. Everyone is getting ready for summer, spring. Everyone's in that mindset right now.
It's motivating.
Which, of course, means that, yes, the holidays just passed, but there's more events that are going to be happening now. It's summertime. It's going to be more beautiful out. Everyone's going to want to do more stuff. But a lot of that stuff is always going to revolve around eating, drinking, everything like that. So, yes, it's a little bit of a bummer because it's getting more beautiful out. But a lot of those events and dinners and trips, that triggers okay, I'm going to be eating a lot. I'm going to be drinking a lot more. I'm going to be doing these things that are probably going to affect the weight loss and the weight gain. And also, this means obviously the vulnerability to that, to be susceptible to gaining more weight, getting off track, everything when you're trying to stay on track.
Right.
And honestly, the way that you schedule your day in a proactive manner can have dramatic results on the progress if you do it the right way, like you always say. I was going to ask you because I actually read an article about all of this, and they did a study that found that those who ate dinner at 9 p.m. versus those who ate dinner at 6 p.m. had higher levels of blood sugar the next morning because of the carryover. So I was going to ask you, with the days getting longer, I remember in the past episode you said that it's actually a myth that eating late is bad?
Yes.
Okay. So even though the days get longer.
Well, I'm talking about when it comes to weight loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so I think you're correct when you say about the study that everything is probably still elevated by the next morning, because if you're eating that late, by the time you fall asleep, your body can only process so much. Even though you do process while you're sleeping, it's not as much because you're still.
Yeah.
But as far as weight loss, it's really what you take in a whole day. So when people say like, oh, I stop eating at night, that's great if, like we said in the last episode, like that's great because if you ate all your meals all day, you don't want to eat at night. But if you saved a snack or saved a meal for nighttime, because listen, let's face it, people work different hours.
Yeah.
Some people don't get home until 9 o'clock at night, I mean, how many times do we walk through the door and it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? So
I'm starving.
Yeah, and like you're not going to not eat because it's late. It's just what the study is showing is, yes, it's still elevated the next morning. So maybe don't jump on the scale first thing in the morning if you ate at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you're not going to lose weight that day, because if you still took in less, you're going to still lose weight.
Yeah. No, yeah, and it's
but
funny.
I do agree with the days getting longer. It's people feel like they're more hungry because they're like, I'm up so much longer now.
Yeah, no, and people's days always start early, so then by the time you go home actually and go to bed, it's still probably going to be a little light out.
Right.
Lighter than usual. I mean, when it was getting dark around 5, it's like...
Yeah, it's easy to go up to your bed at 7
exactly.
for people than to go up at 7 now because it's still light out.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I thought that the most interesting part about that, too, was whenever I talk to clients in the store, the number one thing that I always hear from people because of all of our bakery products is like, oh, I love to have a sweet treat before I go to bed. And immediately when we were talking about this, I was thinking, is that normal? Like, is it just like a normal thing? Like, is it more so just like a normal thing for people to want to have the sweet treat before bed, or is that a good thing to do? Like, I almost am like, I don't really know like what to tell people sometimes.
I think it's fine as long as it's incorporated in their meals and snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally fine. And a lot of people, listen, a lot of it's from mental going back where, you grew up having dessert,
Yeah.
Do you ever think to yourself, like, I want to have a sweet treat before I go to bed? No, but you do have a sweet treat, like when you're watching TV or playing Xbox.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I love to have one at night. Like for me, I save all my food for the evening.
I don't know why that is either, because I'm just like, is it because we're just home and like the shoes are off and you're comfy and it's like, oh, I would love something sweet right now? Or is it like...
I think it's 90. I think whenever it comes to any type of food, it's 90% mental.
Yeah.
It's always mental.
Yeah.
People don't even eat when they're hungry. They eat when they're stressed. They eat when they're tired. They eat when they're bored.
Yeah.
If you ask someone, are you eating because you're hungry? No. Most of the time it's not. So even when it comes to a sweet treat, it's because it's affiliated with what they're doing, whether they're watching TV, reading a book, it's after dinner. Yeah. Sometimes I think, too, a sweet after dinner is something more like to change the flavor from dinner to a sweet, even if it's just for your palate, you know?
You know what's like annoying about it, too, is sometimes I will have like ready available meals that I'll take home from the store, and I'll have them in the fridge. And I can get up and like in 5 minutes I can have one ready. But I'll choose like something that I'll regret after, Right. Just because it's like, I don't know why, I just like, I lean more towards it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like a muffin or like the donut or something.
Right.
I'm like, I could have had a nutritious meal. But it's like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, why would I?
Well, the thing is, and I think it's just... when you're exhausted, you don't think straight.
Yeah, even the action of like eating that meal with a fork and a knife is
everything,
like,
and you're just not going to be stronger. Yeah. Listen, when you're trying to lose weight, I always tell everyone the end of the week is the hardest because 1, you're losing weight, so your body's hungrier. 2, you're mentally weak because you just went through a whole week of work of whatever you're doing, whether you're a homemaker, whether you're have a career outside of home, whatever it is, you're exhausted by the end of the week. So everything's harder. Yeah. I will tell you one thing that I think is really important, and it's going to go back to what I said in the beginning of this. I think a good thing to do for the longer days with spring and going into the summer is to incorporate something outside the house. And I'll tell you why. Because you come home from work, most of the time people go right to the pantry or they'll whatever. If you incorporate every day, okay, I get home, say they get home at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'm going to take a walk, 3-mile walk, every day at that time. That's just going to push everything. And on top of it, it's going to give you more energy. If you come home from work and go in the house and sit on the couch or, just start lounging around, you're going to feel tired.
Yeah.
But if you give yourself that walk, it's not only going to be so beneficial for your weight loss and your health, it's going to really help when it comes to like your day. You're incorporating something healthy for yourself outside the house, and you're not going to be near food. So you're not going to have to worry about it, But you're generally what you want to do when you get home is go right to the pantry or go right to a snack or go right to, a drink, whatever. And you have to change that. And this is the time of year to incorporate something outside the house. It's going to make such a big difference.
Yeah. And honestly, too, like for everybody, another tip that you gave me was to bring the change of clothes to work with me because it's almost like a thing to help you feel accountable. Like as soon as I always used to shut it down in the beginning and be like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I need to go home. I need to eat my meal. And like, I would find that when I got home and I was preparing my meal, I changed into my comfy clothes. I was like, okay.
Sometimes you wouldn't leave until like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, you would be exhausted.
I know. And
now, how good could your workout be?
Exactly. And two, now I bring a change of clothes to work. I change while I'm at work. And I go straight to the gym because I have no choice. You have to almost give yourself no choice. Like, even the going home, like, don't, like, leave your stuff in the car.
Yeah.
Put your keys in your pocket. Go for a walk straight.
Yeah. Exactly.
Don't go in the house without doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
Because as soon as you step foot in the house, you're going to feel like, oh, I'm home. And then immediately the mental mindset changes, and the want and the urge to like do that thing that you promised yourself you're going to do completely goes away because you will completely become like, the thoughts creep in of like, I'll start tomorrow,
Exactly.
And immediately it's different. But I was going to tell you too, what you said before about like the summertime, springtime coming up, like the, make a note to do more things outside. Even if it doesn't involve exercise, change your plans up. A lot of people, I feel like, automatically, the one thing that always used to bother me was anytime that my friends wanted to ever do anything, like social, it was always revolved around eating or drinking.
Good point.
If you hang out with your friends or you make plans with the family, make a plan around an activity. Don't make a plan around food. Don't make a plan around, going to the nearest bar or nearest new restaurant. There are so many more activities that you can do that don't require eating. Like
100%.
And
take a walk in the park.
Yeah, take a walk in the park.
Instead of going to lunch, go take a walk in the park. Say, let's meet at the park. We'll go take a walk.
Yeah. Yeah, not every single hobby or activity that you do that you're excited to do for the spring and the summertime has to be revolved around eating.
Exactly. How about go bowling? How about go do a round of golf?
Go mini golfing. Go to Top Golf. Go anywhere.
There's so many fun things that you can do. And I know people like to drink and stuff, but even today you can go to like putt-putts that serve alcohol.
Yeah.
And at least you're moving.
At least you're moving.
You're not sitting in a bar or sitting in a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a restaurant eating and it's a big difference.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great point.
Yeah, and it's a big thing with peer pressure too, because when people don't make the plans and their friends invite them, of course you want to go and you want to be involved, but also train yourself to be able to go and just enjoy the outdoor, like enjoy the setting. Like if you go to a nice restaurant, like, the shed and like you sit outside on the yard, like enjoy the setting, get a water, get a drink that you want, but you don't have to eat. If they put a basket of bread on the table or a basket of anything for the whole table, tell yourself, no, I don't have to.
No.
I'm just enjoying this time with my people that I'm around.
I love that.
You don't have to eat. It's not a requirement for you to eat.
And let me tell you, that's such a great point because, like you said earlier, everything with the spring and summer it's more social. Yeah. Everybody's more social in the summer.
Every restaurant's
you're outside.
getting the chairs
you're
ready outside and everything.
And you don't want to miss out on stuff. So I get it. But like you just said, doesn't mean you have to eat everything in sight, you know? And that's where, of course, we'll bring in alcohol. You really have to watch your alcohol because whenever you drink, you want to eat.
Yeah.
I always say the first drink, you're good. Second drink, you're starting to pick everything off the table. Third drink, you're dancing on the table. So you got to really be careful. Have water in between, and really just be mindful. And don't have something just because it's there. And especially when it's spring and summer, you know you have so many of these socials going to be back to back. Listen, you don't have to lose weight every time you go somewhere, but you don't want to gain. So you want to think lose, maintain, gain. Stick to the maintenance when you have like multiple social things out. So that's where two things right now. One, it's so important to really stick and get those new goals or like you said, build on the goals that you already have and have that in your head. So this way, when you're going into summer, you're already in a good place. Because the more consistent that you do something, the better you're going to be. And the more you're going to stick with it. And that even comes to when you were talking about the gym. You go every day. I've never seen you. You're always a gym person, but you've never been more consistent than you are now because of the way you set up your day. You go right from work. The more that you do that, the more you get used to it. People always ask me, like, how do you run every day? It becomes a part of your life. If I skipped weeks at a time, I wouldn't have that same desire to go out there, you know, but when it becomes a part of your life, you do it. So it's the same thing with food. You have to stick to your program, get in a good place. So when you do have those social events in the summer, you're going to know what to do. You're going to be okay. You're going to maintain through it. Yeah.
And the biggest thing for people to remember, too, is like take into consideration all of the things that you can do to combat everything that, you know, all the things that you struggle with when it comes to actually
eating out,
you know, staying accountable for these things. Like, you know, begin to eat your meals earlier so then you get all of your calories in before you go out. If you have a dinner planned with your friends at 6 p.m. and it's still light out, of course, because the time is changing, get all your meals in beforehand. And then, like we said on a episode earlier, you know, eat before. You know, have your muffin before you go out with your friends, so then you're full. And then know in the back of your head, okay, what do we always say? I know I'm full right now, so I don't need to eat. Right. Don't eat it if you
don't need it. Doesn't mean you don't want it.
It doesn't mean that you don't want it.
Don't
of course,
eat it if you don't need it.
If your friends order something that looks great, of course you want it, but tell yourself, I don't need it. You also want
the weight loss.
You also want the weight loss, so which one's more important?
Exactly.
You know? And then, go ahead. And then also, too, like I feel like a hard tip, like a hard truth, I like to say is like, because it is true, but it's hard for people to accept, is remember to stay disciplined. Remember why you started. And one thing that I always do whenever I feel like I'm really struggling is I look at old pictures of myself.
It's great.
I always look at old pictures of myself because then I really make myself feel like, you know, bad.
And good. Look at where you got to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Before you go out to dinner, look at an old picture of yourself. Before you get out of the car, when you pull up to the place that you're going into, look at an old picture of yourself and say to yourself, okay, will that hors d'oeuvre that I have at the dinner tonight for 1 hour really make me feel good? Like, you know, weigh the cost and effects, weigh the benefits of everything that you do. Every little decision, like you said, anything that goes past your lips has an effect on you. And then also, when I say this, I mean not reward yourself too often. Remember why you started living a healthier lifestyle in the first place. And remember the topic that we're talking about. If there was ever a time that you wanted to look good and feel your best, it's now, when the spring and summertime comes around. So why would you jeopardize any progress that you have made, you know, going into the time where you want to feel you look your best? Where
you said, like earlier, all the jackets are coming off.
Yeah.
Everything's going to come off. Like, that's it. Everyone's going to be in shorts and tank tops before you know it. And you're either going to be really happy or you're going to be crying.
Yeah. Why would you put in all that work during the winter, the cold months like we talked about, where, you know, everybody's inside.
Sabotage yourself.
Just to take the coat off and feel bad about yourself.
It's so true. You know, I love the idea of the picture. Sometimes, a lot of times, people only do that when they're reflecting back on what they want to look like again. But for those who have really worked hard, look at that picture and say, like, look at what I used to look like. Look at how far I've come. It's I feel so good about myself, you know.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is really important, and I love I spoke to a client yesterday that came in, and she's lost so much weight, but she's really struggling right now, and she just tends to use like a lot of things as an excuse, if someone's sick or if the dog or this, and she went up a little bit in weight, and I said, listen, I know when you go through those times, you're hungry, and of course you want to grab food because you think it makes you feel better, but you don't, you have to remember when you're hungry and it's a struggle. And you're like, oh, I'm hungry. But you have to look and say, but look what I'm doing. I'm losing weight. I feel good. I look good. When you're overeat, you're miserable. People are not happy when they don't feel good, when they feel bloated, when they're overeating. So you always have to weigh this out and say like, okay, I'm not thrilled when I'm starving, but I'm certainly really not happy when I'm overeating and I'm feeling, heavy and bloated. So always remember, it always goes to the harder part. Of course, not eating is going to be harder, but it's going to make the biggest difference.
Yep.
Yep. And you're always, if you're going to be miserable anyway, at least you're going to look good. So that's, one thing I did want to touch on though, what you said earlier with eating out and stuff. Mm-hmm. I notice a lot of people, I don't know why they do this, but this is a great tip for the summer because people go out to eat a lot. And see, me, I would be like, okay, let's meet at the restaurant, right? But no, a lot of people say, come to my house. Let's meet at my house, and then we'll drive together. But what do they do when they meet at the house? They almost like pregame dinner. Yeah. They have drinks and cheese platters and dips, and then they go eat dinner. And I'm like, why would you do that? Yep. So sabotaging. So if you're going to do that, a good goal for this spring and summer, go for a walk with your people before you go to dinner. Yeah.
Or if the restaurant's right up the block, all walk together.
Walk there, right?
Walk there.
So true. I love that.
Funny. You actually said it. When we go to Fire Island every year, no cars. No cars. And you know what? We're all hungry. We all can't wait to go to dinner. We got to walk there.
Yep.
And
no,
of course,
there's no
you pick the
Uber
restaurants
Eats.
that are
There's
the furthest
nothing.
away. and pick the restaurant that's the furthest away. Yeah. Then you end up walking there. And we walk like 3 miles there, 3 miles back.
And we always walk after.
Isn't it true that when you walk there, it actually increases the appetite?
Yes. And look at what you're doing after you eat. You're not just sitting. Yeah. You're walking.
You always feel better too. Who after a big meal, you sit on the couch and everybody's like, oh, I'm going into a food coma right now. Yeah.
It's so true.
You eat your big dinner. You earn that dinner by walking, by doing everything that you got to do, and then afterwards, it makes you feel better to expend the energy and expend the calories that you just took.
You digest it. That's what you're doing. Your body's digesting it when you do that, and it does make a big difference. And we have talked about this. It's when Dad loses weight every time we go. Yeah. It's because you know what? It's such a big thing. Like we're so used to sitting. Mm-hmm. People sit it's like such a slow death. People sit all day long in their cars. They're like, oh, I'm always running around my kids here and there. That's not really moving, though. Mm-hmm. You're sitting in the car while you're doing that. You have to really think about your day and how much are you actually moving. And again, we're talking about spring goals. Yeah. Incorporate it in your day. Yeah. Make sure you're getting that movement. And
don't. A lot of people too are forced to sit from at work and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, how do you?
Sometimes I'm in my office 12 hours. Mm-hmm. I go home and I run. Yeah. Because I can't mentally be like, I sat all day. I can't do that. I have to go out, or I'll tell Dad, come on, let's take the dog for a walk, or you. Yeah. I'll be like, let's go. And you have to move. You can't do that. It's just so unhealthy, So those are really, important things. Spring is here. Longer days, incorporate the movement. Really look at your day and say, how can I incorporate movement in my day? Even if you exercise every day. It's 24 hours in a day. If you exercise an hour, that's not enough. Incorporate some movement in your day, right? Yep. So that's the goal for this week's podcast.
Love it.
Okay, well, that's all we have for you today.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please remember to always stop in at Innovation, 8025 Jericho Turnpike, Woodbury, New York, or visit our website, innovationhealthymarket.com, or call 516-802-5055. We're open 7 days a week. We're always there to help you out with your shopping, orders, or weight loss needs. When you come in, ask for me, Jake. I will be happy to show you around the store. Or if you are looking for a one-on-one plan, I can make your first free consultation appointment with Josephine. Great. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.